Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. I am a robot, apparently. Dude, I don't know. I'm exhausted. Sleep hasn't been happening, and SFB streams galore, so I have no idea what day, what time. I'm glad that Dynasty Trades DLF is in giant letters on top of me because that's the only way I know what I'm talking about right now.
But it's fun. It's a good part. It's a good time of the year. Scott Fishbowl.
Oh yeah.
We
Oh,
we
it's all
both.
wonderful. It's all like and I get going and it's great and I have a lot of energy and I'm talking and the second you click that stop button and then we're going to be our cool little like, well, that was fun. We did great. We're awesome. We're so good at this. No wonder we keep doing this. And they're like, all right, dude, I got to go back to work. Bye. And then I hit that leave studio button and then I just collapse on the floor for about 20 minutes.
That sounds about the usual.
All right. So Addison proving to be the smart man that he is when again we're like, what should we talk about today? It's Wednesday and we didn't come up with anything. He went back and looked about what we talked about last year. And I was just like, that's a really good idea. We should do that every single week. And then just do the same show year after year on the same week to see if no one would ever notice. I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
No. But it also brought up the point that now is a very interesting time to trade away future firsts. And I'm guessing we did a 2024 first show around this time last year because Addison brought up 25 first. I'm just like, yeah, no, let's do that one. Assuming there were good enough trades, and it looks like there definitely are. Because recently, I have been getting offers for player X for my 25 first. It's usually 1-for-1. It is usually really hard to figure out. Before we move on to actual trades and all of that stuff, I'm very curious. Is now a time you are looking to, I mean, let's do it from both sides. Are you looking to deal in future firsts right now, whether it's acquiring them or trading them away? I mean, now that it's June 21st?
Yeah, I'm usually team acquire because I feel like most people undervalue future firsts. Like I think like people have 2024 on their mind right now because they're starting to see, content of like it's time to buy 2024 firsts, and you're always looking ahead that 1 year, but 2 years, maybe even 3 years out, depending on if the trades make sense. I am definitely team acquire future first now because they'll only appreciate in value. Typically, right now is also the cheapest that you can buy those firsts. So if you're able to swindle away a 2025 first for your wide receiver 4 or your RB 3, I'm making that move all day, and then I'll just try and figure something else out later if you're trying to compete or all that other stuff, and just convert that player into an asset that doesn't take up a roster space, doesn't take up or doesn't get hurt, and is only going to gain value from here on out.
But let's move on. Let's talk about players. Let's talk about 25 first. Let's talk about, we broke it. Old school. We're going by position. Let's go. 25 first. We're talking QBs first, and of course, super flex because don't bother sending a first for a quarterback in one quarterback unless you're getting one of like the main guys. Plus, at that point, you'll have to add more than just a 25 first. But the first trade we have in Superflex is Russell Wilson for a 25 first. Wilson in at 223, the first at 163.7. So would you, both sides of this, trade a 25 first for Russell Wilson? Would you trade Russell Wilson for a 25 first? I would trade my 25 first for Wilson. I would not trade Wilson for 25 first. However, given the right situation, I would trade him for a 24 first.
Yeah, so I'm in full agreement that if you're competing, a 25 first for Russ makes a lot of sense. I do think that he's going to have a bounce back season. Do you?
I
Yeah.
guess.
Yep. Okay, so we're on board on that. Would I send Russ away for? It would have to be very specific roster
It's like
construction.
blowing up your team, like the start of blowing up your team, and you have a team that, like, in your league that is hoarding 24s already.
Yeah, basically. Or like you took over an orphan and Russ was like the only option.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, in that case, I wouldn't do that because then you're sending your only option for something you're going to have to wait 2 years to pay off.
yeah, but if he tanks, like if this Denver Broncos Russell Wilson is actually who Russell Wilson is for the rest of his career, I don't know if you're going to get a 25 first.
I don't want to believe that because I'm not ready to hear Russ Wilson is a Pete Carroll system quarterback.
Ooh.
I'm not ready to hear that ever in my life.
Ooh.
Yeah. The next one we have is Matt Stafford for a 25 first. Stafford in at 112, the first still at 163.7. This one's a lot closer. I have an offer in my inbox right now. Someone offering me their 24 second for Matt Stafford. I don't think I'm going to do it in general just because of the makeup of my team. But if I were to be wanting to trade away Matt Stafford, I would reject that encounter and go for a 25 first instead of a 24 second. But I think the value's there for this on both sides.
So let me ask you, because
Besides,
I know where I stand on this.
besides being terrified, the fact that we have no idea if Matt Stafford has an arm attached
Okay,
to his
so
body.
that's part of the question. What inherently is the difference between Russell Wilson and Matthew Stafford right now in Dynasty? It's just how we feel about the arm.
Yeah, like honestly, because well, also it's like team trajectory. The Broncos look like they're trying to build something. The Rams look like they're trying to put band-aids on what they have. So I'm more. They're only a year apart age-wise, even though Matt Stafford's been in the league for 74 years. But I don't know what the Rams are doing. The Rams don't seem to know what they're doing, seeing as how they haven't even given us coach speak on anything. Like literally nothing. So I
I
have
think
no
I've seen
idea.
that they're talking about Stafford being like super healthy right now.
Oh yeah, it's about time.
Let me see if I can see it.
And like that to me is the biggest thing though, is like the team situation. The fact that Denver is trying. They bring in a new coach. Of course, I'm not saying fire McVay or anything, but they haven't really done much of anything, haven't spoken much of anything, haven't done anything to beef up their wide receiver core except bring in the stud of Puka Nacua, which I don't say sarcastically at all. I love that name and that player. But I would rather have Russell Wilson, if anything, because I think he's a more talented quarterback, even though Stafford has that arm, has the, like we've seen Stafford have the ability to throw that volume. I'm not sad about having either, assuming low price, but I would still take Wilson over Stafford.
So I'm seeing that Matthew Stafford, this was from 6 days ago. He was a full participant in mandatory minicamp.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
and Sean McVay 5 days ago says that it's a night and day difference from 2022 when quarterback was seriously limited with injury. So
Good. I'm glad that they came out and said that at least, because I love to have the reason as to why he looked like trash last year, even when they weren't saying he was hurt. Good.
yeah,
Well, I'm not glad he was hurt, but I'm glad that there's a reason that he looked as not great as he did.
yes, I think it was the injury. So if the injury is kind of, if it's, if he's healthy and he can get back to where he was in 2021 when they won the Super Bowl, maybe not even at that level, but just like he's just back to like Detroit Lions Matthew Stafford when he was just a solid QB 10, like he was
5,000 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and a bunch of interceptions, but still enough yards and TDs to make up for
right
yeah,
for
no,
fantasy. That's good.
yeah, but I still I think now also on top of it, the biggest thing is we're ready for Matt Stafford to retire, and I don't think anyone's ready for Russell Wilson to retire.
Which is
Like,
weird because they're only a year apart.
but they're also what, like 3-4 years of playing apart.
mm, yeah, Russ did kind of come in a little later, but I mean,
Well, yeah,
they're
he
still like,
transferred, and back then transferring meant a lot more than it does now.
but like fundamentally, when you look at both of these players, if you just assume that they're both healthy for 2023, you know, who has the better quarter or who has the better head coach? Toss up. Okay. It's 50-50. Who has a better wide receiver room to throw to?
Just Cooper Cup just beat out everyone
Cooper,
else.
Cooper,
Like I really
Cooper
like
Kupp, I
Jerry
think,
Judy. I
is
really like Cortland Sutton, but also they don't have anyone besides Cooper Cup. It's tough.
I'll take Cup and the whatevers of Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell over everybody on the Broncos. I think the Broncos have a better defense, which
Yes.
might be good for them for NFL, but may not be good for fantasy. If Matthew Stafford's going to have to be in more shootouts or throw more all that kind of stuff. And I think that Stafford has a better running game to support him, at least for right now, with Javonte coming back from
Yeah.
horrible knee injury.
Hopefully coming back sometime soon. Yeah.
So I like the only difference I think between Russ and Matthew Stafford right now is how you believe that that arm injury is going to affect Stafford moving forward. But if they're both healthy, these
Yes.
are two quarterbacks who had really bad 2022 seasons that are in their mid 30s, but for some reason they are valued fairly differently. And let me just be clear. If I'm trying to buy Matthew Stafford right now, I would definitely not be trying to send a 25 first. I think you can buy him for less.
All right. Let's move on to running backs because that is just a lot more exciting. Maybe. Let's find out. So the first trade we have is 12 team, one quarterback, and the trade is a 25 first for Aaron Jones, Jerome Ford, and Zamir White. Why am I hearing so much about Jerome Ford lately? Is this a Kareem Hunt being gone thing?
Yeah, he's like the only running back on the behind Chubb. I think they have Demetric Felton. I don't know who that is, but I think
Oh,
he's
like
the
he
only
was
other running
exciting
back.
for 30 seconds like 2 years ago.
Sure.
So Aaron Jones, 249, Jerome Ford, 18, Zamir White, 16. Poor Zamir White. One more year, Zamir. One more year. For a 25 first, which is 154 in this format, 12 team, one quarterback. Yeah, I'm setting a 25. No, okay, so here's my problem. This is why I asked you if you're doing this now. Because if I'm sending away a 25 first, especially for, well, this case, 3 running backs, like I want to do it in August. I don't want to do it now. But Aaron Jones and apparently Jerome Ford are the right places to go. Like, Aaron Jones is going to still be very, very good, especially with not Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback. I'm all for acquiring Aaron Jones. I don't like the idea of doing it on June 21st. And this trade was most likely not done today, which means it was done earlier than June 21st.
Yeah,
So
these are all done in the past couple of weeks. This was all June, so
yeah, I get it, and I believe it's a smart move, but there's a lot of time and quarterbacks, nope, running backs like getting hurt for some reason. It's like they meet up, they have a Zoom every week or two, and they're just like, all right, whose turn is it? And then like they hit like a randomizer button and like a big wheel, or they spin like one of those giant carnival wheels and like, all right, you got to twist your ankle, man. Sorry. Whoop, slips on a banana peel. Like
that's how it happens.
that's
Yep.
on. I can't prove it, but I'm just saying I've heard. So again, like I like the idea of this, and you're picking the right guys. You picked up Aaron Jones, who is better than AJ Dillon. I don't care that he's older. Let's still just call it what it is. I think Aaron Jones is better than AJ Dillon. And Jerome Ford and Zamir White. Well, Jerome Ford has the chance to be a 1B, I guess, as much as whatever a Demetric Felton is, assuming they don't bring someone in. But again, you're not really paying much of a price for these two players. And Zamir White is a nice hang on because like he got hurt a decent amount in college. So it's great that he's resting because maybe at this point, maybe his body is just like healed when he gets to start next year when Josh Jacobs is actually gone. So like all that being said, I'm going to take the running back side out of this.
This shows you kind of the range of running backs that you should be aiming for if you have that 25 first, because I think like the first itself is 154. So Jones is about 100 points more than that. So you would think, well, I would want if I'm trading away a 25 first, maybe or selling a player for a 25 first, I want somebody who's a little bit closer to 150, but I don't think you're getting a first at that point for any running backs at that 150 range. Because in most cases, most people would just be like, nah, I'll take the chances on the first and we'll just kind of see what happens. Like you get down into like
Because
the Alvin Kamara, James Conner, AJ
yeah,
Dillon.
I was going to say like Khalil Herbert area, it feels like, but that might be a little too low.
Yeah. And most people are just going to take the first. So that's why you got to aim a little bit higher, I think. And with the Aaron Jones range, guys in there are, you're with Rashad White, Cam Akers, David Montgomery, I guess, is in there
Yeah,
according
you're
to
not
ADP.
getting.
Miles Sanders.
Yeah, you're not getting. Well, clearly you're not getting superstars for 25 first, but you're also not really going to get things you're going to be thrilled with. You're going to get players you believe in. Like that's what you're aiming for when trading away a 25 first. And Aaron
Mhm.
Jones to me is the great option for that. All right, let's move on to the next trade, which is 12-team Superflex, and it's Auston Ekeler for Dameon Pierce, the 25 first, and Rondale Moore. Auston Ekeler, 370. Dameon Pierce, pretty much 200, a 25 first, 164, and Rondale Moore, just a sad little 49 for a total of 410. He's so good. Like, why is he? I blame Kingsbury. Rondale Moore is gonna come out and be awesome this year. Just watch. Again, this is another move I don't want to do until September. Like, this is not a move I want to do now. There's going to be a big discrepancy between the points scored between Auston Ekeler and Dameon Pierce. I want to put that out there before I say anything else. But wouldn't you rather have, assuming your lineups, you're starting like 10 players, like I would rather have Pierce and Aaron Jones than just have Auston Ekeler.
Ooh. So that literally entered my mind that I would, if I had to make one of these two moves right now, I would 100% rather add a first to Dameon Pierce to go to Ekeler than to trade that first for Aaron Jones.
You see, I think they're both 1 year plays.
I agree.
I don't think Ekeler gets the amount of receptions anywhere close to what he had last year.
Ekeler averaged 9 points per game more than Pierce last year.
What about Aaron Jones?
Jones, he averaged 6.5.
Yeah, that's more than I thought it would be.
7.5.
Like, I love Auston Ekeler. I've loved Auston Ekeler since before he actually got his chance to start. And then just seeing him as a person and him loving fantasy football and all the charity stuff and him being funny on Twitter just makes me like him even more. He absolutely benefited last year from every single wide receiver being hurt. Like, he was getting double-digit targets like every single game. I don't think that happens again. Like, that's a little where I'm stuck at using Auston Ekeler as a 1 year piece. He's going to do really well. He's most likely, with no outlier situations, going to be a top 10 running back in fantasy. Like, I feel very, very safe saying that. But depending on my lineup, depending on what I'm trying to do, I still think I stick with I'd rather have Aaron Jones and Dameon Pierce than just Auston Ekeler.
I'll take Auston Ekeler.
No, it's like the more I'm saying it out loud, the more I realize Eckler's probably the right choice. But
I want Auston Ekeler, and then I'll figure out whoever my RB2 is after that.
Yeah, it might just be my Aaron Jones love seeping in also. I don't know, man.
I love Aaron Jones too. I mean, I was the Aaron Jones guy when he was coming out of college. But Ekeler, I think, yeah, like you said, they're both 1 year guys.
Yeah.
But I just want the guy that probably is going to score more in a much better offense, who probably is going to catch the ball more, who probably is going to score more touchdowns. And honestly, like, I would not be surprised if Auston Ekeler has more value next year than Aaron Jones does as well too.
No, he will.
Like, I think there's more of a probability that Ekeler is the one on.
They probably just like go.
They both
the
same
distance apart.
But I think since we're just saying that these are both 1 year guys, I think you're going to be happier still having Auston Ekeler next year than you would having Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I'm being dumb. You're right. It's Auston Ekeler.
Yeah.
Just let me keep Rondale Moore.
I would like to keep Rondale, but
all right, we're gonna move on to wide receiver, and I don't know what you're trying to do to me this show. Wide receiver, 12-team Superflex. The first trade is Chris Godwin for a 25 first and Gabe Davis. Poor Gabe Davis. Chris Godwin at, 279. I love to see it. That is still putting respect on Chris Godwin's name. 25 first, 164. Gabe Davis, 68 for a total of 231. This is perfect, actually. If I'm rebuilding and I have Godwin on my team, I'll take a 25 first and Gabe Davis. Mm-hmm. If I want to compete, I don't think this is my first trade I go seeking, but like if I've gone through my league and no one really cares much for a 25 first, I'd be happy with this because I do believe that guy hanging right behind Addison right now is that good of a wide receiver, that good at getting open, that it doesn't hurt as much that the quarterback won't be great. Mm-hmm. So I do think Chris Godwin's going to give you top 24 wide receiver numbers steadily. Hopefully you get a couple of spike games. Gabe Davis, all you're looking for is the 2 or 3 spike games he might have, and who knows what Dalton Kincaid is going to eat into. Like, because there's a good chance Kincaid walks in and can solidify the pass catcher 2 role, because they've never really had a solidified pass catcher 2 before. So you have to hope you get those games of Gabe Davis where he is that and then scores 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I think I do. I would do this for Godwin. And again, if I'm going full rebuild, it's not, neither of these, I guess, are going to be my first hopes of an offer, but I think it's a good trade.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't Gabe Davis. I feel like that's probably the part that's really screwing me up on that side. But I'm looking at like there a lot of the other players around Gabe Davis are those second round rookie draft wide receivers that we had this year, like Mingo, Mims, Reed,
Oh, that's
Rice.
definitely a lot more alluring for sure.
That yeah, that feels so much better. A couple picks above Gabe Davis in June ADP still is Elijah Moore. Love that. Um, so yeah, it's Gabe Davis is the is the trigger point for me here. But
Yeah.
I do still believe, like, if you believed in Chris Godwin, like I think how we both believe in Chris Godwin, that he is just a hyper talented player who is still going to be force fed the ball, even though it is going to be Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask. But Baker, like, I think that he has enough ability to get the ball to Chris Godwin 90 times this year. And it might
That
not
would be great.
be, 90 for 1,208, but if it's like 90 for 1,056,
That's what
like
I was going to say 90 for like 1,000 yards.
that's 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 it. And so I think Chris Godwin is going to be good. Like we liked having Jarvis Landry in Cleveland with Baker,
Yeah.
you know. And I think we'd like having Chris Godwin, and then you just hope that maybe the Bucks are just bad enough that they get Drake May or Caleb Williams next year,
Yeah.
and then Godwin's value
And
is
that
back up.
and that defense isn't what it used to be either. So they're gonna probably be in more open-ended games as opposed to having Tom Brady and having him be really good. The next trade we have is DK Metcalf for 24 and a 25 first. DK Metcalf at 481.6, a 24 first, 337, a 25 first, 163.7, for a total of 500.7. If I'm a competing team, I send this for DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
If I'm not competing, I take this. No. Okay, if I feel the need to trade away DK Metcalf, let me say that, because if you're not competing, DK Metcalf is only 25. You should not be trading him away just to rebuild for rebuild's sake. Like, he's a player you could keep on your team and build around for another year or two. But
Mhm.
if he's like, you took over a team and he's one of the main pieces and you need to just get started, 2 firsts is nice, always 2 in the same year, but I don't think you're getting 2 firsts for DK, even though you should. So 24 and 25 is good enough for me.
Yeah. I really wanted to avoid including like the package of firsts with the 24 and 25, but I just thought that this trade was too interesting not to talk about it. Because I do agree with you. I think that this is pretty easy. Like, just go get DK Metcalf, because the risk is completely on the pick side that they're even high enough that they're able to be a good pick at the time, in those rookie classes. Um, B, you're waiting 1 year for production for one of those picks, 2 years for another one of those
And that's
picks.
assuming they hit their rookie year.
And yeah. And then that C, you have to assume that you even picked the right player that is hit. Like for every Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave or Devonta Smith that you find, there's also Jameson Williams, who doesn't do anything for a year or two, or Sky Moore, or Jalen Rager. Like those players are in there as well too.
See, my mind still goes way too far back. I'm like, there's still Jahan Dotsons and Lagrange. Like, the 2016 draft really scarred me. I think that's what that is. Like, that was like one of my first
Oh,
rookie drafts in
yes.
Dynasty, and it just went so poorly.
So yeah, there's a lot of risk on that side. I think if we were trying to maintain this, like let me gauge your interest on this one. To maintain the 25 first, but we're gonna swap out the 2024 first for Michael Pittman.
I like that. I just also really like Michael Pittman.
Jordan Addison.
Oh, I definitely do that. I really like Jordan Addison.
Okay. Devontae Adams. Adams in a 25.
See, I kind of like that because you're still really competing, but you're getting a first on top.
Right.
I Yeah, I think I would do that.
And then the wide receiver directly behind Jordan Addison is Christian Watson, which
I
I
do
feel
not
like
think
is
that.
the line.
Yeah, that's the line. That feels like it.
And then Treylon Burks.
Again, I really like Treylon Burks, but I don't do that. I don't think the value is good enough on that. Like, if we like go in 3 games and Christian Watson still looks like sort of what he did at the end of last year, like getting that volume and still making those big plays, I think Christian Watson jumps to like a top 12 dynasty wide receiver because I think a lot of the disrespect or the lack of optimism is Jordan Love based. I think because
Mm.
Christian, he was showing it last year. And if he comes out and shows that he still can do that, I think Watson takes a huge jump, which maybe that means I have to go get some on my teams just in case. Okay, so the point I wanted to make before we got out of here, because I think that was the last trade, because tight ends.
There weren't really tight ends in the finder.
Like, you're not getting the tight ends you want for a 25 first, and you don't want to pay a 25 first. Like, I guess, like, I wouldn't be sad to send my 25 first for, like, Muth. If I can
Or
get
Goddard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I can get Goddard for 20, I would not send Goddard for a 25 first, but if I could pay a 25 first for Goddard, I would absolutely do it. But
On
the
the flip
big,
side, if you're able to sell like Ingram or Njoku or any
I
of
would
those
even do it.
other for 25s.
You still do
Yep.
that. But I wanted to bring up a very important point that even sometimes I don't realize when I'm too excited trading for firsts. If you are trading for that team's first, like if Addison and I are trading and I am sending him Chris Godwin for his first, remember, oh, Addison's team looks pretty bad. You know, his pick will be early. Let me send him Chris Godwin. He now has Chris Godwin to add to his starting lineup while taking nobody out of it. So that makes his team better. So just be careful not to pre-calculate what you think this is going to be. If you're sending a player for a person's first, look at their team with that player on it. Look at it with Godwin there already. And look, what do they have that they can send away that won't hurt their lineup and they'll be able to get more players in? Do they have a bunch of seconds? Do they have, the Mingos and all those guys he listed before that he can move for, producing players? Because that can quickly push picks in directions that won't make you happy. It's something you really need to pay attention to if you are getting your hopes up that the first you are trading for is early or late. That being said, 25 is far away, and you can't really predict. Treat most 25s as mid. It's the smart and easy thing to do. Like, this team might be in last place right now, but that means they probably just got Bijan, and maybe they tank again and get Caleb Williams. That's going to make their team very good for the 25 season.
Or their team looks bad now, but they have 6 firsts and 3 seconds, and
Yeah. So just be careful when you're trading for other teams first, or whatever teams first you're trading for. Try and step back and take a bigger picture, especially if it's 1 year out. If it's 24 picks, it's still early. There's still so much time for anyone to do anything, but especially for 25 picks, 25, just call everything mid. If someone's trying to push and say, my team's terrible, this 25 is going to be early, just be like, I know your tricks. I see what you're trying to do, and I'm not falling for it. Not again. Fool me 3 times. Shame on me. Like, no. All right, so no, that's good. I think we've imparted enough future wisdom. We're going to come back next week with some nowadays wisdom on Wednesday when we figure out what we're going to talk about, and hopefully it's about something current, because I just said we're talking about nowadays.
Well, we have a list of topics that we have from that we did it this time last year.
Yes.
So hopefully,
We
if
are
nobody
set for
catches on that we're repeating shows annually, we'll be all right.
We'll be good. Nobody catch on, and if you do catch on, keep it to yourself. This is hard work. We're trying. Well, I was about to say, this isn't our day job. This isn't my day job.
Hey.
It's all out of joy for you and jealousy for me. Well, everyone, thank you for hanging out with us on the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel, bringing it back. Russ Fisher at Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. We'll catch you next time.